Have you ever caught yourself nodding at a quote like, "You become what you think about," and thinking, "Yeah, I've heard that one before"? Maybe you even posted it online, let it echo in your mind for a few seconds, and then moved on. Because in theory, it makes perfect sense. But in practice, your life looks nothing like the thoughts you try to believe. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If it really worked like magic, if thinking alone could transform us, why do so many people stay stuck, broke, overwhelmed, or unfulfilled, even while filling journals with goals and affirmations? We don't lack information, we're drowning in it. The issue isn't that you've never heard the right idea. The issue is that you've heard it so often, it's become background noise. You think you understand it, but you've never truly lived it. Take this metaphor. Imagine setting your GPS to Paris. You select your destination, map out the route, and sit back, waiting for the car to take you there. But you never start the engine, never check the tires, never leave the driveway. That's what most of us do with our goals. We envision, we believe, but we never move, because we've misunderstood the assignment. Napoleon Hill wasn't telling us to think positive thoughts once and expect miracles. He was revealing a much deeper principle. Your dominant thoughts, the ones that run all day in the background, those are the ones shaping your life. It's not about quick bursts of motivation. It's about the emotional weight behind the thoughts you repeat unconsciously, relentlessly. Thoughts are not wishes, they're signals to your identity. They send instructions to your nervous system, to your behavior, to the way you carry yourself in every room. One empowering thought, felt deeply and repeated consistently, does more than 1,000 weak affirmations whispered with doubt. But here's the catch. Most of the thoughts shaping your identity, you didn't choose them. They were passed down, programmed by culture, parents, teachers, painful experiences. You're living inside a mental playlist built by other people and wondering why the track doesn't fit your dreams. That's the silent enemy. Not your goals, not your lack of talent. It's the inner noise you stopped noticing. The thoughts that say, "You're not ready yet. Who do you think you are? You've failed before. You'll fail again." It's like trying to run full speed while dragging an invisible anchor. You say you want change, but what's the voice in your head saying when no one's listening? Here's a reality check. People don't fail because they don't dream. They fail because they're stuck in loops of fear, shame, and doubt. And those loops play louder than any vision board on your wall. You've probably heard the same quote 20 times before, but on the 21st time, something inside clicks. Not because the words changed, but because you're finally ready to listen with your whole self. So today, stop and ask, what are 3 thoughts that show up uninvited in your mind every single day? Not the ones you wish for, the ones that whisper when you're tired, stressed, or alone. Write them down. Now ask, did I choose these? Or did someone else install them? And here's where the shift begins. Awareness is power. When you see the script you've been following, you can decide to stop reading it. You can write your own. Your brain isn't a journal, it's a radio station. You're either tuning into the frequency of fear or the frequency of growth. You don't have to silence all the noise today, but you do have to start choosing which voice you'll turn up. Because transformation doesn't begin with action, it begins with attention. What you give your inner microphone to, that's what you'll amplify. That's what you'll live. And if you're still here, it means part of you is waking up. Part of you is tired of nodding at quotes and ready to become one. This is where the real journey starts. And in the next part, we'll uncover the hidden loop playing under your goals and how to finally rewrite the thoughts that have been shaping your story all along. You probably think your goals are shaping your life, but what if it's actually the background noise in your mind, the chatter you don't even notice that's pulling the strings? Let's be real. You've set goals before, big ones, exciting ones, maybe even realistic, step-by-step ones. And yet, something invisible keeps dragging you off course. You procrastinate, you self-sabotage, you hesitate just when it matters most. It's like you're sailing with a perfect map, but dragging an anchor. The course is clear, but you're weighed down by something you can't see. That anchor is your default thinking. See, we tend to believe that thoughts have to be loud to be powerful. But it's the quiet ones, the thoughts you repeat on autopilot that shape who you become. The voice that says, "I always mess this up," Or that's not for people like me. Or I'm just not that kind of person. These aren't conscious choices. They're mental habits, so familiar you no longer recognize them as thoughts. They just feel like truth. They blend into your identity like wallpaper you stopped noticing years ago. And because they run silently, they never get questioned. They just guide your hand, your tone, your posture, your decisions. They are the code behind the curtain. Here's the kicker. You don't need more positive thinking. You need less mental noise, less clutter, more space to actually hear your true voice. Success isn't about more motivation. Success equals less noise. That's not as flashy as a vision board, but it works. You don't need to shout over the noise. You need to unplug it. Start by listening for the quietest voice in the room, the one that whispers when you try something new. This won't work. Or you're not the type. Or even worse, you've never finished anything before. Ever caught yourself saying, "I'm just bad at this," without even thinking about it? That's a default thought. It's not a fact. It's not a flaw. It's just a thought that's been running so long, you stopped realizing it's optional. Most people try to build a new life on top of old thoughts. But you can't build a skyscraper on a cracked foundation. It starts with seeing the cracks. Noticing your default thoughts is like flipping on a light in a dark attic. Suddenly you see the mess, fears, doubts, old beliefs, assumptions you inherited but never examined. And here's the good part. Once you see them, you can clean house. Imagine having a playlist running in the background that repeats, "You can't. You're not enough. Don't try." Would you willingly play that on loop? Of course not. But many of us do, unconsciously. And while that playlist runs, it's quietly guiding your actions, your risks, your tone of voice in a job interview. It's the whisper that tells you to stay quiet in the meeting, the shrug that stops you from hitting send on your resume. It's not your ability that's holding you back. It's the thoughts you forgot you were still believing. Today, just observe. Keep a notepad with you, or open a blank note on your phone. Every time a thought pops up that sounds doubtful, fearful, limiting, write it down. Don't filter. Don't judge. Just catch it in the act. Then ask yourself two simple questions. Who gave me this thought? Do I still want to keep it? Because here's the truth. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not doomed. You're just obeying thoughts that were never truly yours. And once you see them, you don't have to obey them anymore. You can subtract, clear the noise, make room for the beliefs you do want, the ones that feel like peace, alignment, courage. Here's a simple shift. The next time doubt shows up, instead of believing it, smile and say, "That's not me anymore." And if a thought tells you you've failed too many times to try again, reply, "That version of me retired." Because the truth is, most of the pain we carry doesn't come from failure itself. It comes from the stories we attach to it. And those stories, they're editable. It's not your goals that shape you. It's the thoughts you don't even notice. And once you begin to notice, everything changes. In the next part, we'll talk about how to install the beliefs you actually want, the ones that align with the life you're trying to build, and how to turn repetition into reprogramming. Reprogram your mind like a billionaire, even if you feel stuck. Here's the secret most people never hear. Success isn't just about habits, it's about mental software. And the truth is, most people are trying to run a billion-dollar dream on $10 thinking. Billionaires don't just think bigger, they think differently. They install beliefs that support their vision, even when the world tells them they're wrong. And the best part? You don't have to be wealthy to think this way. You just have to choose your programming. Imagine your brain is a computer. Every day it runs lines of code. Some were written by you. Most were installed without your permission, by parents, teachers, culture, fear. Lines like, "Play it safe. Don't dream too big. People like us don't get there." And those lines of code? They loop, they limit, they shape the way you show up in the world. But here's the good news. Code can be rewritten. Every time you hear a thought like, "I'm not good enough," you have a chance to replace it. You don't fight it, you overwrite it. Start simple. Take one limiting belief you've been carrying. Maybe it's, "I'm not qualified." Now ask, what would someone who is wildly successful believe instead? Maybe they'd say, "I figure things out quickly," or "I can learn anything I need to know." Now here's the trick. Don't just read the new belief like a mantra. Feel it. Imagine acting from it. Embody it like it's already true. The brain doesn't change because of repetition alone. It changes with repetition plus emotion plus identity. That's the formula. Want to reprogram your mind? Create a new internal playlist. Short, specific thoughts that spark courage, clarity, movement. Practice them daily. For example, I am becoming the kind of person who follows through. I trust myself to show up even when it's hard. I take action before I feel ready. Say them out loud. Write them. Visualize living them. You're not faking it. You're training your mind to support your future, not sabotage it. Think of it like a gym. The first rep is awkward, the second is shaky. But the 30th, the 50th, it becomes second nature. Same with beliefs. People often say, but I don't feel it yet. That's fine. You don't need to feel confident to build confidence. You just need to show up. You don't wait for new thoughts to arrive. You design them. You install them. You make them familiar. Because what's familiar becomes safe. And what's safe, you repeat. So if self-doubt feels familiar, you'll keep returning to it, even when it hurts. But if belief becomes familiar, that's when everything shifts. Here's a challenge. Pick one belief you want to install this month. Just one. Write it on your bathroom mirror. Set it as your phone background. Say it when you brush your teeth. Make it your mental home. This isn't magic. It's neurology. Repetition creates pathways. Emotion strengthens them. Attention locks them in. And if you fall back into the old pattern, no shame. That's part of the process. Just notice it and return to the new code again and again. Because the difference between people who change and people who stay stuck isn't willpower. It's repetition. The billionaires, the change makers, the fulfilled, they don't just work harder, they rewire faster. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fearless. But you do have to practice. When was the last time you actually practiced your dream belief out loud? Try this one. I'm becoming the kind of person who shows up for their vision, no matter how they feel. Say it each morning for 7 days. Notice how it feels on day 1 and how much easier it flows by day 7. You don't need to try harder. You just need to think more intentionally. If this message landed with you, subscribe to Mindset Mastery Hub. We don't just inspire, we rewire. And in the next part, we'll show you how to make this practice effortless by designing your environment to support your mindset, not fight it. One thought can set you free or keep you trapped forever. You've come this far. You've seen how thoughts shape actions, how repetition builds belief, how your environment can lift or limit you. But there's one final wall most people never climb: fear. Not the loud, panicked kind, the subtle kind. The kind that whispers in your own voice, be careful. Don't go too fast. What if you lose everything? It hides behind logic. It disguises itself as being practical. But what it really does is keep you small. It dresses itself up in wisdom, but at its core, it's a strategy your mind created to avoid pain. A strategy that once served you, but no longer fits the life you want to build. Fear doesn't stop the future. It replays the past in high definition. It pulls up every mistake you've ever made and says, see, don't risk that again. But here's the truth Hill wanted you to hear. Your life changes the moment you stop obeying fear and start choosing belief again and again. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff. You're wearing a parachute. Everything is in place, the training, the equipment, the weather, but you freeze. Not because the jump is impossible, but because the fear says, what if the chute doesn't open? That's how most people live. One step away from freedom, frozen by thoughts that feel like protection, but are really just old patterns trying to survive. Fear is a storyteller, and it's good at its job. It knows exactly what to say to make you doubt your timing, your talent, your worth. It says, don't try again. It says, you've failed before. It says, what will they think? But you're not the same person you were when you first heard those lines. You've grown. You've learned, and now you get to decide which voice gets the microphone. Every time something starts to go well, fear creeps in. This won't last. You don't deserve it. Something bad is coming. Sound familiar? That's not intuition. That's programming, and it can be overwritten. Ask yourself, have I ever sabotaged myself just when things were starting to get good? You're not alone. It's not weakness. It's a mind trained for survival, not success. But now you know how to train it for something better. Here's the pivot. Fear isn't the enemy. It's the signal you're close to something important. When you feel it, don't retreat. Lean in. If your thoughts say, you can't handle this, reply, maybe I couldn't before. but I'm not who I was. When fear says, don't trust this, ask, is this fear or a belief I borrowed from someone else? You don't defeat fear by fighting it. You master it by choosing differently, moment by moment. If I had no fear, I would pause. Fill it in, right now. That sentence is your map. Follow it. Don't wait for confidence. Move with clarity. Take one small action that your future self will thank you for. Let this be the moment you stop running old scripts and start writing new ones. Scripts built on vision, not survival. On growth, not guarding. One thought can trap you forever. One thought can set you free. Your job isn't to become fearless. Your job is to become faithful to the life you want, the voice inside you that's been whispering, we're made for more. You don't have to leap today, but you can take one step closer to the edge and smile. Because when you choose belief over fear, even in a whisper, you rewrite your future. Now we want to hear from you. Has fear been the loudest voice in your head? Yes, but I'm ready to change. No, I've started rewriting already. If this opens something inside you, subscribe to Mindset Mastery Hub. Your thoughts deserve better company. This is just the beginning. The real work is daily, but you won't be doing it alone. In our next video, this is why your life isn't changing, Napoleon Hill. We'll explore how to bridge insight into motion so your mindset becomes momentum and momentum becomes mastery.